This week, the devil himself will stay at Activision. Xbox admits that they are cannibals, and Kratos had a much different fate planned for him. This is the NerdCave News, and I'm one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with, in the lush hills of the Shire, most folk are merry and pleasant. Well, all but one. There's an old onion farmer whose crop can't be beat, but he's known to be cold. Word is, he was a great adventurer, but that was long ago. Sometimes you'll catch him staring at you over the hills, longing for the unknown. He's Harmony Proudfoot of Hobbiton Hole.
You know, I like the exposition. Name didn't slap, but it's very, Lord of the Rings-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Proudfoot, very Hobbit-esque.
Where does it rank, Harmony Proudfoot?
So yes, I was just gonna say, where does it rank? So we've got 4 names. We got Jingo Huth sitting at number 1. We've got Ligurian God of the Seas at number 2. Monsieur Jean-Jacques Dugateau at number 3, and Delphina Warrior Princess at number 4. Now, see, here's the problem that we're going to run into in the weeks and months to come, my good friend, is what if it's not number 1, then we get into the minutia of where does it is it the next best one? Is it just above the worst one? Like, I think it goes right below it's the new number 4. I think it goes number 3 under Monsieur Jean-Jacques Degateau.
So Delphina Warrior Princess is now number 5.
Yep. So,
you really didn't like being called a warrior princess, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Wow. Sounds a little sexist to me.
What? Let's table that.
Oh, well, guys, this episode is brought to you by the Epic Games Store and our wonderful patrons, but more about that later. We have an awesome announcement for all of you. We will be at PitsCon this next weekend, February 24th through the 26th. We're doing a meet and greet at Five Guys on Airport Boulevard in Pensacola, Florida at 11:30 a.m. So come be there. Don't be square. Get you some Five Guys burgers and fries and watch this guy buy me a hamburger because he lost a bet because, I'm really cool.
Just wait till I put some bomb hot sauce on your burger.
Huh? Did you say something?
No, Kakashi, I didn't.
Guys, let's get into the gaming discussion this week. First up, Bobby Kotick reportedly set to remain as the CEO of Activision if Microsoft's deal falls through.
So yeah, the big word in that thing, or the key word in that, is if it falls through, and we'll get into what Microsoft has planned in the quick hits later on in the show to try and combat that, because I'm sure they want Kotick out as much as Activision Blizzard does. So according to sources in the know, if Microsoft's proposed purchase of Activision Blizzard does not go through, Bobby Kotick, a CEO whose actions have stirred up much controversy, will remain at the helm. Fox Business was able to confirm this news from those close to the situation and report that whoever buys out Activision Blizzard, Kotick, quote, will absolutely remain at the gaming giant to run the company. It had previously been reported that Kotick would leave his position with the video game giant if Microsoft would acquire the company. However, in April last year, it was reported that the CEO had not discussed his future plans. Quote, no discussions or negotiations regarding post-closing employment arrangements with Microsoft occurred between Microsoft and Mr. Kotick prior to the approval and the execution of the merger agreement and the transactions contemplated thereby, or have occurred subsequent to such approval and execution throughout the date hereof. That's all, a bunch of word jargon there at the end, but basically it's a cop-out. It basically gave them wiggle room to where it's like, we didn't discuss it, so it's still in the air for me to stay there. Possibly even if they do buy us out, maybe I will still be there in some capacity. And it's like, please, just go away. And I meant to say this, your little opening statement there is like very, very doom and gloom. It's like you got the devil, you got cannibals, and you got fate. And it's like, okay, we're supposed to be bright and sunshine over here, and you got over the storm clouds raining down over here.
Sometimes you got to knock people down to bring them up. You know what I mean?
Sometimes
Sometimes
that's
you got to
very
knock them
true.
down and bring them up and everything. But
especially if it's to make you look good, right?
yeah, on the shoulders or backs of giants, like whatever. It's like, as everybody will say, we hope that Bobby Kotick, however you want to say his name, is gone.
Yeah.
He is. Yes. Did he help Activision and then require Blizzard and all of that make a ton of money? Yes. Did he take a ton of money? Yes.
Yes.
Has
he allowed heinous culture to happen? Yes.
100%. He is not somebody that you want around. He is not somebody that you want running your companies. And, if Microsoft, and because I know we'll talk about it later, if they buy out Activision and all of that, if everything goes through, hey, he might still be there, but I don't think he will be in a leadership role. He might be cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
no, he might be what is it from The Office? Assistant to the general manager?
Yeah. It's like, you get to stay here, but you have to serve lunch. Here's your hairnet. You know what I mean? That would be hilarious. It's like, you've been demoted.
Right.
So only time will tell. Let's hope that Bobby is out, because we're tired of Bobby's world. Let me just say, I'm tired of Bobby's world. Let's be done with this. Let's move on. For the love of all good things holy, get Bobby Kotick out of there once and for all.
It's almost like Jim Ryan and Bobby Kotick have like a secret handshake behind him. It's like, here, we'll help you ruin Microsoft's deal so you could stay there. It's like, thank you, my friend.
I'm not going to say anything on that one. So, moving on to the number 2, Microsoft admits Game Pass cannibalizes sales.
So, according to GamesIndustry.biz, the UK Competition and Markets Authority's 277-page provisional report on Microsoft's proposed $69 billion merger with Activision Blizzard included confirmation of an internal analysis submitted by Microsoft, which showed a redacted % decrease in sales for base games 12 months after they were added to Game Pass. The admission clashes with remarks made by Xbox boss Phil Spencer back in 2018, wherein he claimed that adding titles to the service actually boosted sales. In a statement sent to IGN, an Xbox spokesperson responded, quote, Xbox Game Pass offers gamers and game creators more choice and opportunity in how they discover, experience, and deliver games. For gamers, that means providing another option for them to discover games and play with friends at a great value. For developers, that means creating another option for how they monetize their games. We're focused on helping game creators of all sizes maximize the total financial value they receive through Game Pass. Each week is unique, so we work Each game is unique, so we work closely with creators to build a custom program to reflect what they need, ensure that they are compensated financially for their participation in the service, and allow room for creativity and innovation. As a result, the number of developers interested in working with Game Pass continues to grow. It's basically like, when Microsoft v Epic happened, a lot of reports came out about this and that. So this was an interesting report to read about how maybe it's not as profitable for some as it is for others. Now, obviously there's all like caveats with this, because I'm pretty sure it's by, a developer basis, a publisher basis, if the game goes, because, games that aren't on Game Pass, or actually, well, even if games are on Game Pass, if you want to buy them to own them digitally, you get them at a discount.
Yeah.
So not only, you go from making, maybe no extra money to like taking a discount. So now I'm sure with their own exclusives, they don't do, there's a percentage that, I'm sure the percentage is greater for them because it's in-house. But, I think back to the whole, like, before Game Pass, when it was just Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus, Rocket League, right? Massive success. Took off, came on the day it released was it when it came to PlayStation Plus. And it took off. It came out in July, a perfect time where there was a game lull, and not everyone had a lot to play. It was right before the fall bonanza. and everyone loved it. It took off, blah blah blah, and then they were like, at that time, now PlayStation and Xbox do things differently. Obviously, PlayStation gives you a lump sum up front for PlayStation Plus games,
Hmm.
and I doubt it was incentive based where it's like, all right, if this
Yeah.
many downloads, you get more money. And the developers of Rocket League kept talking about how much money they potentially lost by going to PlayStation Plus after
Hmm.
seeing how much the game killed it. And then now, granted, I think they shouldn't have waited to do this later, but I think now they should, if they had to go back and redo it, they just would have done the free to play model like they're doing now, because I'm
Yeah.
sure they're making money hand over fist, especially working with Epic. Um, and I'm sure with the Game Pass, it's probably different. Like, I'm sure there's incentive laid plans where it's like, all right, you can get this much if we get this many downloads or this many people
Hmm.
buy it after they played it on Game Pass. But I, I don't think it's as bad as this article makes it out to be. But I
Yeah.
do think it's not the. I do think we're foolish. We'd be foolish if we don't believe that not every developer gets the same opportunity or makes a profit for going to Game Pass either.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, looking at it, Phil said 2018, hey, people are making tons of money on it. It's like,
Yeah.
I think there are some that possibly have done really well on Game
Oh
Pass,
yeah.
but you look like Microsoft's game. I'm not going to buy a Microsoft game if I can play it on Game Pass because
Right.
guess what? It never goes off Game Pass. So why would I buy it?
Yeah.
You know? But there's other games that go on there for a time, and it's like people are going to play it then. If they really enjoy it, there's a percentage that they really enjoy it will buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a huge, huge rift of people that like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I play what I need to play. If it comes back to Game
Yeah.
Pass, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. Xbox is paying, like, I think about Arc, like they were saying it was like millions of dollars
Yeah.
to have Arc on Game Pass and everything. So they are making
Exactly.
money. They are not losing money in that regards. Is there an incentive system? I don't know. Like you were bringing up Rocket League, great way of like tying it both together, both sides of the coin. Sony and
Hmm.
Microsoft. Like these developers get paid to put them on these services. Like they're not losing quote unquote money because they're getting stuff up front. Rocket League,
Yeah.
the way they benefited was they got into so many people's homes from the install base of the PlayStation 4. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you might have missed out on money, but if you wouldn't have went with PS Plus, you wouldn't have had that many people,
Exactly. So
because
yeah,
people don't take risk on any games this as
nope.
much. So, yeah,
Especially after if you have releases like Forspoken and Gotham Knights.
man. But that Harry Potter legacy, I mean Hogwarts legacy, crushing it.
Yeah.
It's
Um.
it's the highest selling game in Europe.
I believe it,
Yeah,
which is ironic, but we won't go down that road. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad to see it's thriving.
yeah.
Um. So and it's as expected too, coming up beginning of the month too.
Hmm.
You touched on Arc too, and like we talked about I think it was in like a PlayStation Quickies where it's like Arc got PlayStation paid more money for
Yep.
having it on there for 30 days, whereas Xbox paid I think like 10-20 million less to have it on there for 6 months. So if you go by that basis, they got a much better deal on Xbox than they
Hmm.
did on PlayStation. And to think about it, and like you're talking about like with Game Pass, I'm talking about exclusives like never goes off Game Pass hardly. Like there was like in the early days they would take it off and then they realized how dumb that was. They're like, let's
Yeah.
just keep our exclusives on there because of stuff like think of like again another perfect example when Game Pass launched, Sea of Thieves was day
Mm.
one. Now,
Yeah.
granted, Sea of Thieves now would be worth the $60 price
Oh
point, but
yeah.
think if it's like think about how many people would have been upset had they had to pay a full $60 price point for Sea of Thieves at launch.
Yeah, that would have killed that game instantly.
Oh yeah.
100%. So like we've seen Game Pass grow, and we've also seen PlayStation, whatever they're calling it, ex, whatever they're calling it now, not
Yeah,
Plus
the
anymore.
extra and the premium tiers.
Yeah, I don't know if we're talking about that later in the quick hits or anything, but there's a big game that got put on there.
Oh yeah, that's in there.
Okay, good. Just making sure. And one real quick correction. It was Apple versus Epic, not
Oh, Apple
Microsoft.
versus that. Okay.
Just that just popped in my head. But
Got you.
guys,
All right.
you can support the Nerd Cave. Derek, you want to know how? You want to know how we support the Nerd Cave?
How, good sir? Please regale me.
You can support us by using creator code NerdCave at checkout in the Epic Game Store. Even on free games, it helps us out. Get Hogwarts Legacy, get those V-Bucks, and get Returnal right now on the computer. You can play with two people. It's co-op. Returnal was really cool. I still really want to play that game, Derek.
Yeah. So fresh out the gate from yesterday, 24 hours in, and then over a month from now, you get The Last of Us Part 1 on PC.
Yeah. So go check it out. Go support us. Creator code NerdCave at checkout. Every bit helps us, and it costs you nothing. It's a totally free way to support the Nerd Cave. Now, Derek, let's jump into the PlayStation news because, we've both been itching at it. We've been itching at it. We just been, give me that PlayStation news. Give me that PlayStation
like a cat
news.
lapping up milk.
Oh, yeah.
So,
first off, can I read the title?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Boy.
Sorry.
Boy. Death Stranding 2 looks so outstanding, but will get so much better, says Ellie Fanning.
So Elle Fanning has expressed her excitement over Kojima Productions' soon-to-be released Death Stranding 2, noting that the visuals are already, quote, outstanding, while they will only further improve as the team continues to evolve their motion capture technology. During the recent Hideo Kojima's Brain Structure podcast, the actress disclosed that Death Stranding 2 is still in its developing stages. Furthermore, the speaker praised how amazing it already looks, even though, according to Mr. Kojima himself, quote, "This isn't done, and this is not what it's going to look like at all. It seems he has a very high expectation for his upcoming masterpiece." Fanning added that Death Stranding 2, quote, "already looks so outstanding, it looks so real, but I know it's going to get so much better." Kojima himself also added his own comments on the matter. "I can't reveal too much right now, but we've been using a new technology this time around, so I think the scanning process will be a bit difficult, but Elle had fun with it." So Kojima has always been, we've seen this, that man obsesses over tech.
Oh, yeah.
Like no one's business. Him and Mark Cerny, like if they ever got together, I'm sure they've already had sit downs and just had shoot the breeze about tech. But can you imagine like a conversation between the two of them, like in a room, like you just walk in and they just have like slideshows and it's like that one guy or the meme where the guy's got all the crazy hair and like the string theory board and he's like, like that would be those two if you walked 100%. In the room for sure.
100%. Good.
You finish your thought because I was going to pose a question for you.
Yeah, I love that he pushes the boundaries and pushes the tech so much, and that it already looks great, but it's going to look better. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Which means he's going to squeeze every drop out of that Decima engine he can. Mm-hmm. So my question is all right. So while the original Death Stranding, I got a few chapters in, I haven't gone back to it. I probably should now that Death Stranding 2 is a thing in the wild. Mm-hmm. We probably figure 2025 at best is when it'll come out. The story, while it had a good theme and a good thing, the gameplay wasn't that great. It was basically just like courier simulator or delivery simulator, however you want to phrase it. And the story was out there. It had a cohesive story from what I read, but it was Kojima always likes to leave stuff shrouded in mystery. What do you mean by that? What are you really trying to say here? Do you expect, while the game, they're talking about looks, obviously he doesn't want to give too much on story, but do you think it will still be a zany story? And do you think that they should also, are you hoping for drastic improvements in the gameplay as well?
One, it will be a zany story because it's Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
There's no Kojima game that is not got some bit of zane to it.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1 is probably the most normal game. And that still has some weird stuff in there. Psycho Mantis.
What was it? Yeah, I was just gonna say, was it the first one where it's oh, you need to switch your controller ports?
Yeah, Psycho Mantis, and then the poop jokes, and there's a lot of stuff in there. So there's always stuff. And then to your other point, I think there will be some improvements with the gameplay, but I don't think like going from a prequel to the sequel, or the sequel to a game,
Yeah.
you can't go so far off of what you know what I mean? Like you can improve it,
Yeah.
but like if it's so far that it doesn't feel like the first one, it can be off-putting. So
Yeah.
I think you have to be very careful on that end of things. They could like Gears 5, Metal Gear Solid 5 played really well.
Yeah.
But I know Death Stranding was like they made it where it was like you are suffering from carrying these packages. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna make this
exactly.
really painful the whole time. So
It's like, oh, you remember how it being encumbered feels in Fallout? Well, we're gonna make it 10 times worse in Death Stranding.
yeah, and I think that's a design choice as well. I don't think it's like
Yeah.
oh, they don't know what they're doing. I think it is literally a design choice that is that difficult, So
Hmm.
yeah. Marduk says Delivery Simulator 2.0, 100%. It's coming. It's coming for you. Slowly but surely. Norman Reedus is walking.
Yeah.
Walking.
Is he the Walking Dead?
Maybe he's the future Frodo. Like he's like future Frodo.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Got to take the package to Isengard.
Yeah, got to take it all the way there. Now, speaking of some PlayStation stuff, speaking of, going a long way, let's talk about God of War Ragnarok. Apparently, there was a very different fate for a character at the game's beginning. Now, I will say this.
Yeah.
This is a warning. If you have not finished God of War Ragnarok, if you have not...
Or at least gotten through the beginning.
Yeah. This is spoiler territory, okay? This is spoiler territory. I'm going to give you a slow 5 seconds to put us on mute, and then I will give you a thumbs up when we're done. And Dan has already put spoiler alert in the chat. Thank you, Dan. And Dan will let you know when the spoilers are done as well in chat, because he's doing awesome. So, I'm counting you down now. 1, 2, 3. It was really crazy when Joel showed up. You know what I mean?
What? I know.
Oh,
and
man,
then you had Sweet Tooth come in on his ice cream truck.
Yeah.
And just blow the Marcus Phoenix away.
What was really, really crazy though was the Wolverine cameo. Like I was not expecting that. And then Jin Sakai came in. It was just like, this is a lot of cameos in here.
I know.
Not expecting.
We're secretly creating PlayStation All Stars 2. It's okay.
Yeah, I love that they referenced that though in the game. Like that was legit. 4.
Yeah, I'm about to say, no, I caught that. And it's like when he said princesses, and I'm like, huh, I know what you're talking about.
Yep. 5. Okay. Spoiler time. Here we go.
All right. So, in an interview with Minimax, Matt Sophis disclosed that the scriptwriters for God of War Ragnarok initially penned Kratos' death during his clash with Thor, God of Thunder. This would have totally shifted the path of the game, which was hinted at in a mural at the conclusion of God of War 2018. The artwork depicted Kratos' demise. Quote, and so he was going to die, and then it wasn't a permanent death. What was going to happen, and I don't care, he can tell this because it doesn't happen anymore, so this is all fan fiction at this point. He would get pulled out of hell, essentially, by Atreus, and it's now been like 20 years have passed. It was going to be a big time jump type thing, so that was a version of it. Ultimately, game director Eric Williams wasn't keen on that idea, which resulted in Kratos living to fight another day. Quote, Eric was like, I don't want to do that. Kratos has died and come back from it too many times, and it'll feel a bit too, oh, you said he was going to die, and oh, you just killed him, but he came right back type of thing. End quote. So, I agree with this, and like they said, they did tease us, because in that opening fight, he beats you, and then you see like the game over screen, and then you just hear Thor be like, I'm not done with you yet. I'm like,
and then just like started your heart again. It was like, all right.
So I like how they still like threw that little Easter egg in there just to
Mm-hmm.
like tease. It's like, oh, we thought about it, but not really. And they are right. Like in the first two I know in God of War 2,
Yep.
spoilers for that game if you haven't beat what was it, 18-year-old game at this point. Um Zeus kills you in the beginning and you have to, drag yourself out of hell to do it. So that has been a trope that has been done too many times because even in God of War 3, like you don't get killed, but you get flown into you're thrown down into hell and you have to
Mm.
climb a way out again. So, and even in I think God of War 1, you have to get out of hell. So it has been a trope, rinse and repeat. And I want to say, like, yes, while that would have been an intriguing idea to have more Atreus, especially an aged up one, like a 20 years, that would have been I think that would have been way too crazy to do, and would have done a disservice to Sonny Soljic, the actor who plays Atreus.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure they would have had to age up his voice a lot and probably had to change out
Yeah.
actors for him. But it is a tired trope, and I think Eric shot that down because it's like that was old trilogy stuff. This is a new era, new things new way of how we do things here with this character, with this franchise. So let's not go back to old tired tropes that
Mm-hmm.
resemble the old guard.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. And like I think the way they told it, like I thought it would happen later in the game, to be
Yeah,
100% honest. Like
agreed.
I thought it was going to be like when we were, going into fight in Asgard and everything. I
Hmm.
thought that was like the whole time I was like, please don't let this happen. Please don't let this happen. But I'm glad that they made the choice to keep him alive and do good storytelling and not
Yes.
just do a trope again that has already been established, but actually give us something to really like. The whole time, like I thought from the mirror, I was like, it's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
eventually going to happen.
Yep.
When is the shoe
Yep.
going to fall? But
Especially if you were like me and you peeked at the trophy list before, like right before you started the game. And granted, the trophies didn't give away much spoilers, but it just said, attend this, and I'm like, oh no, they're doing it. They are so doing it. And then you got through. I'm like, okay, not what I was expecting,
yeah,
but they still, and like you said, great. I think if they had done that, the storytelling wouldn't have been as impactful or as great as it was with the one we got.
yeah, 100% agree. So I'm glad that they put the little Easter egg in there of what could have happened, but I'm glad what
Yeah.
we got. So there is our God of War spoilers done. So let's jump into the PlayStation quickies, Derek.
So first off, an intriguing one. PS5 wireless earbuds are reportedly in the works at Sony, and they'll probably only last you an hour after being fully charged, like all their other wireless electronics. DualSense Hogwarts Legacy Limited Edition has been revealed and is available in the US and UK exclusively via PlayStation Direct. Speaking of directs, Jeff Grubb claims a state of play is coming next month, and a PlayStation showcase will also be due before June. PlayStation certified has been certified by the Guinness World Records as quote best-selling home video game console brand in history. New Sony job listing points to possible acquisition of Ballistic Moon. PS Plus Extra and Premium February games have been announced, and headline some of the highlights you can expect are Horizon Forbidden West, almost a year to the day of since its release. The Quarry, Scarlet Nexus, Borderlands 3, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Tekken 7, Legend of Dragoon, and Destroy All Humans, and many more. But those are just the highlights for that one. Big heavy hitters this month. Sony confirms more than 100 PSVR 2 games are currently in development. Sega Classic Sea Smash VRS comes to PSVR 2 on March 23rd. Resident Evil Village PSVR 2 trailer reveals a whole new level of immersion for Capcom's horror title. PSVR 2 gains more titles including Gorn, Project Wingman, and Wanderer Remastered. The Dark Pictures Switchback VR release date has been set for March 16th. Walkabout Mini Golf is coming to PSVR 2 with multiple languages and DLC. Activision Blizzard CEO says Sony is, quote, trying to sabotage Microsoft's purchase of the Call of Duty company. Firesprite Studios' Twisted Metal game rumors gather pace, points to VR support and a day one PC release. Death Stranding 2 would have had to be rewritten if Elle Fanning turned down the game. And lastly, God of War Ragnarok PS Plus Premium trial is now available in the US.
A lot of good stuff there, Derek. A lot of good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Jeff Grubb.
Yeah.
I watched.
I mean, do I believe we get both of them? There's a part of me that says no, but I do think like it's been, what was it, September, October of 2021 since we last got a big showcase title
Yeah.
or showcase for PlayStation. So I think we're definitely due for one of those. Now, the only way it could work is like, okay, we do get a state of play for like how Nintendo did like for the first half of 2023, and I think we get like a state of play coming, and then I think the showcase is like since it's already been confirmed Sony's not going to be at E3, I think if they do a showcase, it'll be around the time of E3 as their own conference, you know?
Yeah, I think that's how they're going to play it. But for March, I'm trying to think of what PlayStation games would be coming out around then to really like have a reason to
It could
have.
probably be like it could probably be like they'll probably do like an indie like some indie games because there's like apparently like Little Devil Inside and some other ones that we haven't seen for a while. I think I think it'll be one of those where it'll be a smaller scale, but the highlight will be Final Fantasy 16, like just show a little bit update of that, or probably something maybe, or actually if it's March, it could be for the Horizon Burning Shores DLC because it'll be a
Yeah.
month before because it'll come in April.
Yeah, I could see that. I just don't like. Do you think Little Devil Inside is ever actually going to come out?
I think it is because we got like a what was it like a 10-minute gameplay trailer the last time we saw anything of it. So I think if you're gonna show that, like it should be.
But
getting
dude, that
there.
was like a long time ago. That was like,
No, it was.
dude, that was
Well, it was 2021, so yeah,
October
probably.
27th, 2021.
Yeah, so over a year, but close to almost a year and a half. So I think it does come out. I think it's just going to be one of those. I think it'll be not on the level of Dreams, but because that took 10 years. But I think it'll just come out and people will be like, "Meh, it's okay."
Well, it's not even a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's
Because they
coming to
touted it,
Xbox
and then I think they walked it back.
yeah. I don't know. But that is the PlayStation quick hits. But we got another section before we got two sections really, but this is one of my favorite sections. This is called the Patreon quick hits. You want to know why, Derek? You want to know why it's called the Patreon quick hits?
Why is it good, sir? Please tell me.
Because the quick hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. You can become part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew by going over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Join up in our motley crew. Become a member. Support the Nerd Cave, and keep Derek in some crop top polos.
Yeah. And keep fueling my anime addiction.
Yeah.
Because now that I'm in One Piece, every time you say part of the ship, part of the crew, I'm like, huh, come along and hop aboard. Find the One Piece with us.
Is there really like a One Piece? Like, is that the whole reason the name of the show? It's like they're trying to like find...
Yeah, because the One Piece is a treasure.
Oh.
But there's been, because of how long the manga and the show has run, people have started speculating what the One Piece actually is. And there's a whole bunch of things like it's about the journey or friendship or whatever. So we don't know. Like the show still has a ways to go. It's in its final stretch supposedly in the manga. But that final stretch could still be another 5 years. But it's getting toward the end. So someday we'll find out what the One Piece is and if it's actually true.
Yeah, well, you know what you don't have to wait for? The Patreon quick hits. Take it away.
So first up, Final Fantasy Tactics remake rumors gather pace as team is, quote, incredibly busy at the moment. Crime boss Roque City gameplay takes you on a bloodbath with Travis Baker. Remedy confirms Alan Wake 2 is, quote, playable from start to finish. Release date soon, maybe? Question mark. A Division 2 fix accidentally made updates impossible. Following that, though, if you wanted more doom and gloom, rumor Ubisoft has no plans for the Division 3. Boo hiss. Team Fortress 2 is getting its first major update in years. Eidos Montreal is removing Square Enix members services from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. EA strikes big money deal with English Premier League after losing the FIFA name. Nintendo will determine the $70 price tag, quote, on a case-by-case basis. Sonic Frontiers director says fans can, quote, look forward to more 2D Sonic games. Positive news, Dead Island 2 release date moves up a week to April 21st as game finally goes gold. So it is true, guys. It is a real thing. But it also, I'm assuming they moved it up because it's like, oh, Jedi Survivor got delayed back to our release date. So let's move up to give ourselves some breathing room. Wild Hearts co-director even has trouble defeating some of the game's creatures. That is coming out tomorrow, so we'll see how very Monster Hunter-esque that game is. Rumor Activision Blizzard is forcing employees to return to the office soon. Following that, Microsoft will go to bat for its Activision Blizzard acquisition and will defend deal in front of the EU next week. You got to imagine, because of these recent stories about how they're forcing employees to go back to the office and how Kotick will probably remain a CEO if the deal doesn't go through. Microsoft is making sure that they want to create at least a safe environment and a more pleasurable environment for their employees. So they're going to make sure this deal goes through to make that happen. Splatoon 3's expansion pass Wave 1 to release February 28th. Star Wars Jedi Survivor will include much bigger maps than before, with even more enemies and NPCs scattered throughout. Resident Evil 4 Remake will have New Game Plus and Photo Mode. Embracer Group plans to launch 19 AAA games by the end of fiscal year 2025-2026. And Embracer also plans to launch 5 Lord of the Rings games in the fiscal year 2023-2024. So that's from now till March of next year. They gotta be some busy bees. We'll see how that works out. Metro Exodus sequel is reportedly already in a fully playable state. GTA Online adds long-requested 50-car garage. And lastly, Multiverse's peak player count plummets to below 1,000 amid content drought.
Yeah, Multiverse, like, they came out pretty hot with content and everything, but the only thing that they've put out in this new season is Marvin the Martian, and that is literally it. And like, there were a ton of people that played it. There were a lot of people hyped for that game, and for it to drop below 1,000 active players is kind of crazy. I did want to hit real quick the Embracer Group with the they've been buying up a ton of developers. And the way they're saying what's a AAA in their mind is if a team of 100 or more developers are working on the game, that's what they're considering AAA. So,
got you.
But I think we'll see that the new Tomb Raider game, I think that will be something we'll see in there. I don't think, unfortunately, we'll see another Guardians of the Galaxy, even though that game was great.
It was.
But I think Embracer, they are, the Jeff Grubb was talking about it on Game Mess. They love to go and say, hey, you pay for us to develop this thing. And Disney is not about that. Like, Disney is not about that life at all. But
Disney's like Kakashi. Did you say something?
Yeah. Kakashi. But the Lord of the Rings thing was kind of interesting as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is how they're going to do it. Okay? I'm going to break it down for you. Mobile games.
Oh, yeah.
100%. 100%. We might get one console game. You know,
Gollum, that terrible looking game.
Yeah. We'll get Gollum, which will be awful. If we got Two Towers and Return of the King remasters of those old games, oh man, those were so good.
Don't tempt me.
They would be so good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, can you imagine? Especially oh man. And
I don't know if you ever played it. There was a Lord of the Rings. It was essentially like Battlefront. It was Battlefront, but with Lord of the Rings like skin on them. Do you remember that game?
Lord of the Rings, was it on PS3 360?
Yeah.
Yes, I played a little bit of it. Was it Lord of the Rings Conquest?
I think so. That game was awesome, man. Like I remember playing, like it even included stuff that was not in the movies, but is in the book, like where they go and like attack the Shire and everything. So great. It was a great game.
I would love. Now that you say that, because I used to play the mess out of it. It's the only turn-based strategy game I ever fell in love with. Uh,
Lord of the
Lord of
Rings.
the Rings: The Third Age on PS2. I know it didn't review well, but a remake of
Mm.
that, oh, that would be so great. Because that's the only, because it's very like Final Fantasy-esque inspired, like with the classes and like
Yeah.
the turn-based style and whatever.
Mhm.
So I would love just to revisit that. You know, that
Okay.
it would get me, because the South Park games. While we don't endorse South Park the show on this thing, the games were apparently really great. I never
Yeah.
tried them, so. But I would definitely play Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, a remake of that.
Yeah. I played the Stick of Truth, a good bit of it, and it was a really solid game. I thought you were going to
Mhm.
say Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle Earth, which was an
I
RTS
tried that,
game.
but I tried that a little bit on PC, but my ignorant self back in the day couldn't understand the mechanics, so I just gave up on it.
Yeah, yeah, you're not a PC player. All those drivers
No,
there, you can't handle all
exactly.
of that. You can't handle all
Sorry, it's TurboTax season. I gotta use it for that.
that. Do they have happy places like Rivendell and the Shire? They in the game that I was talking about, they did have Rivendell and the Shire, and you actually attack them as like orcs, and you can like unlock the Balrog and like the wraiths and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty dope.
Mm.
But yeah, Battle for Middle Battle for Middle Earth or Shadow of Mordor and all of that
Hmm.
are some good ones as well that you
Yeah.
can check out. Nate, because he was saying he was like, I want a game to explore. Like it'd be pretty dope to get a Lord of the Rings game that's like Hogwarts Legacy. That'd be pretty
Hmm.
dope. But I will say this: if we got a Lord of the Rings game that is like Marvel Snap, that would be sweet.
Oh yeah,
That would be
yes.
sweet. 100%. All right, we're moving into our last section, guys. Thank y'all for being here. If you haven't already, hit that like button. But we're going to get into the last section, which is Derek. Is there anything cool you saw this week?
Yes, sir. There was. We got a little game. Like I think we've talked about it on here before, but I don't think we've seen a gameplay trailer. And the more I see of this, the more very intrigued by it. It's IGN had their Fan Fest this past weekend, and they had a gameplay trailer for Lies of P. I don't remember if it got a release date, but let's check that out because it is very Bloodborne-esque inspired.
I might be asking too much of you. But I don't have a choice.
Dang, he got a gun on him.
Yeah.
Only you can do this.
Oh,
Please, help me.
You're my only hope.
was that a robot policeman?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Finally, we meet, son. The stage is set.
The light shines brightest in the darkest of times.
All right, buddy, I'm here for you. Don't worry.
Don't give up.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Keep
Wrecked shop. Full counter.
You can lean on me if you
I like the steampunkness of the game.
Exactly. It's like Final Fantasy meets Bloodborne.
Yeah.
fulfill. Your destiny.
All right. That actually looks pretty
So-
good.
Yeah, it does. Have you seen anything on this game before? Like heard about it or
Yeah.
whatnot?
Yeah, this is about
Okay.
Pinocchio.
Yeah, Pinocchio. That's why he's got the robot arm. Like I guess he wants to be a real boy. We saw Geppetto, his dad, and you got to imagine the little creature, the talking thing was Jiminy.
Yeah. Jimmy the
so-
Cricket. He's a cricket,
Yeah.
Derek. Did you know that?
Yeah, I
He's-
did know that.
He's conscious. He's conscious. You know what I mean? It's like he's trying to get him to do the right thing.
His moral compass.
Yeah.
So I liked it. We didn't get a release date, but from all I've seen, it is very much on track to come out this year. The more I see of it, the more I am very intrigued to want to get it day one. Yeah, I just hope it's not. I just hope this has the aesthetic of Bloodborne and is not the difficulty of Bloodborne or like the Souls-esque games.
Yeah.
Because Derek don't like that.
Yeah. It kind
Not
of
good for the old blood pressure.
reminds me of the Surge. Like that's
Yeah.
what it kind of reminds me of. It's like it's not as polished as a Bloodborne or a Souls game, but it's
Yeah.
still like that type of game. Surge was pretty good. I played it when it
Yeah.
first came out. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
So
Amy
Yeah.
says love the steampunk. Sounds really interesting. Yeah, I think the storytelling aspect I think can be really cool, and if they
Mhm.
nail like the gameplay, it could be a
Yeah.
really awesome game. And who's making it? You remember?
let me find out because
Dan says that name sounds a little low. Expectation, could it kill them to come up with a more epic name? I don't know. Maybe it could have.
So it's made by NeoWiz Games, and Round 8 Studio, but it'll be using the Unreal Engine 5.
Hey,
So
there you go.
it'll at least look good.
There you go. Cool. I like it, Derek. That was a good choice this week. I just want to
Yeah.
go back around one quick second and read a comment from my beautiful wife, Amy. I know you already talked about it, but I like the idea of roles in games being made with a specific actor in mind, like Elle Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hideo is really good about that.
Yeah.
He's very, very specific about it, and I think it's if you've got the money, you can do that. And I think that's pretty
Just
cool.
like how, obviously, like it was going back to Kojima. Obviously, he knew he was going to work with Norman Reedus on Silent Hills before Konami canned it.
Yep.
But Kojima already made his mind up that he wanted to do a game with Norman Reedus, regardless of what
Yep.
it was going to be, whether that be Silent Hills or Death Stranding. He's like, I want to make a game with you.
Yeah, and I love that Guillermo del Toro is in the game as well.
Yeah.
So,
And Mads Mikkelsen.
and Mads, Mads
Yeah.
Mikkelsen. Well, there you go, guys. That is the Nerd Cave news. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, hit that like button, share it with somebody that you love, and share it with somebody that you don't like. Be like, hey, I don't like you, but this was really good.
It's like, I don't like you, but maybe you can like this. If
Yeah.
you had to like something, like this.
Yep. And guys, if you're in the Pensacola area next week for PizzaCon,
Mhm.
we're going to be at Five Guys on February 25th at 11:30 a.m. We're going to be getting some burgers and fries. Come and join us. Come hang out with us for a little while and get to know us in person. You've seen us on the screen, but see us in real life, in the flesh, and witness Derek buy me a hamburger.
I know. I'll be so glad to get this done.
Oh, I'm so glad that I'm finally going to get that juicy hamburger. Guys, this has been Zach.
And Marty Proudfoot of the Hobbiton Hole.
It's
Harmony
Har-
Proudfoot of Hobbiton Hole.
Harmate. That's Harmate is the name there. My gosh. Guys, thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.